Hey, ladies, thank you for tuning in today to High Heels and Destiny. My name is Naranda. Today's officially Sunday. I hope you ladies have had a blessed and productive week this week. Today, I want to talk about walking in the wilderness. The wilderness is an empty or pathless area or region. So imagine walking through the wilderness. It's a place where you're isolated from everything. There's no cell phone, there's no internet. You're just completely in a place of isolation. At this day and time that we live in, us as Americans, we have so much access to different things in the world. You know, we have access to internet, we have access to TV, cell phones, even just having different companies to deliver us food. Now, if you want to just order your groceries ahead of time, we have people that would bring the groceries out to our car. How would you deal if you was in a place of isolation? If you had no connection to the world, how would you deal with the place of isolation? Walking through the wilderness, how would you deal with it? The wilderness sometimes can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. It just depends on each individual. If you're walking through the wilderness, it's a time that you can use for connection for you and God and self, or either it can be a place of destruction, because if you don't know how to survive, how can you come out? And there are times when we walk through life, and it don't have to be an actual wilderness setting, but I mean it also resembles situations in our life that we walk through. There are things that we go through in life, and we continue to walk in it over and over and over again. There may be a situation or a place that God put us in, and He may say, okay, I'm going to put her through this, and I'm going to allow her to go through this, but I only want her to go through this maybe for 5 days or 10 days. And those 5 days can turn into 5 years, and those 10 days can turn into 10 years. It's all about, what do you do with your time? Allowing yourself to be in a place of isolation is a time where you can allow yourself to connect to God and disconnect from the world, because there are times where God have to put us in a place of isolation, because in order for us to hear God and to grow from God, we sometimes have to disconnect from the world. We have to sometimes disconnect from those friends. We sometimes have to disconnect from family members. We have to sometimes disconnect from social media. Okay, there are times in our lives, in order to grow, you have to disconnect yourself from the world. So walking through the wilderness is not always a bad thing, but it's a growing thing. So it's all about the person. Are you willing to grow? Are you willing to sacrifice what you like to do or what you like to be around to have that growth within yourself and God? Are you willing to hold on to those things and stay stagnant in your life? Because one thing about it, we can say, well, hey, I want to do this and I want to do that, or I want to get this situation, I want this for my life, but we're not willing to make those sacrifices that we need in order to take that next step into life. Okay, so sometimes we have to go to a place in the wilderness where you're all alone and it's just you and God, and the only thing that you give your attention to is the things that really matter most to you, which is God, yourself, your family, and that's it. And it's not always a bad thing. I know for myself right now, I feel like God had me in a place of separation. I love to talk on the phone. Like, I talk a whole lot. Like, I can talk for hours and hours. And my husband tells me all the time that I talk too much. Okay? And I know I do. But anyhow, I like to talk on the phone to my friends, and I can spend hours and hours on the phone. And then when the end of the day come, I'll be like, well, God, where did the day go? Where did the time? This day went by really fast. But it's up to us to determine what we want to do with our time. I heard Dr. Monroe say that what we do with our time shows in the reflection of our lives. And I'm paraphrasing that. And I think that's so true. Whatever you invest most of your time in, it shows in your life. If you invest a lot of time hanging out with your friends, it shows in your life. If you invest a lot of time just eating, it shows on your body. If you invest a lot of time just doing nothing, just sitting around, it shows in your life. There's no growth. So, what are you doing with your time? When you're walking through the wilderness, are you willing to disconnect from the world and connect with God? God sometimes needs for us to walk along so that He can speak to us. But if we got the phone up, and we're talking, well, God can't speak to us because he may be trying to get something to you. And you may say, well, I prayed about this, 2 months ago, 2 days ago, 2 years ago, and God haven't answered me. Yeah, he answered you, but sometimes, God speaks to us different ways. He can speak to us through the radio, TVs, billboards, through another person. But sometimes when we so busy and we on the phone and we talking, we can't hear God. Or if we're so busy and we are on social media and we are scrolling up and down social media, and I'm guilty of that. We can't hear from God, and then we have the audacity to get mad at God and feel some type of way, and like, hey God, I prayed for this, and you haven't answered me, and we feel some type of way. But what are you doing in the time? What are you doing when you're walking through the wilderness? What are you doing with your time? You have to take the time to disconnect from the world. Allow yourself to be lost, because when you're lost, God can give you directions. But when you already got your path and your journey and everything, if you already got to figure out, it's like, well, hey, God, I don't need your help. Hey, I got my roadmap. I got my Google map, and I don't need your direction. I think I got this thing pretty figured out. Okay. But still in all, you need God direction. And in order for God to connect with you, in order for God to speak to you, in order for God to just completely guide you into the direction that he have for you, you sometimes have to get in a place and you have to separate yourself from the world. Your friends, family, social media, you have to disconnect yourself. Because when you're trying to stay a part of the world, your mind is up here, where maybe God needs your mind down here so he can build you up so it can get up here. But it can't get up here because you are already up here with all the other things that's going on in your life, So walking in the wilderness, for me, I feel like I'm in that place right now in my life. I have found myself really just disconnecting from people, and not for anything bad, absolutely not for anything bad, but I just want to be in a place of isolation. I just want to be in a place of just really being able to seek God and talk to God, be more faithful to God, because God is so good to me. I want to be able to really grow within God, and I want him to grow within me. And in order for him to do that, I'm going to have to take some time, and I need to disconnect, and I need to walk in the wilderness alone. And the thing about it, are you scared to walk alone? Because when you go through journeys in life, you're not going to be able to bring your friend. You're not going to be able to bring your mom. You're not going to be able to bring your cell phone sometimes. Sometimes walking through the wilderness requires complete isolation from everything, So the thing is, I'm trying to learn how to manage my time better, what I do with my time, rather than coming home, getting off of work, and just being on social media for 3, 4, 5 hours. Maybe I can change that. Maybe I can come home and maybe pray to God for 5 minutes. If I can only pray for 5 minutes, hey, let's start off with 5 minutes. Maybe I can pray to God for 5 minutes. And then maybe I can listen to my gospel music for so many minutes or whatever, and just really get in this. And don't get me wrong, there's no time limit how to do this, for each their own or whatever. To each his own. To each his own. But anyhow, just really finding that place and really being in a place of seeking God, because God said, if you seek him first, all these other things will be added to you. So imagine how rich our minds can be if we just make an investment into God. I mean, we'll be rich in all aspects of our life. We just don't want to be rich financially, but we want to be rich mentally, emotionally, health-wise. We want to be able to be rich in all those areas of our lives. And sometimes in order to do that, we need to walk in the wilderness. We need to walk alone. And if you don't allow yourself sometimes to be in a place of isolation and to be able to walk alone, then how would you ever know how to survive when you get into that dark place? Or how would you know how to survive when the devil come to you and he want to torment you, or he want to tell you how your life is going to be? How are you going to know how to survive the journey if you don't know how to walk through the journey? Because it's not going to always be a time where your mom is going to be there, or your dad, or your sister, or your cousin, or your church member. Because when God puts you in that place, he removes everybody so you can completely depend on him. Okay, ladies? So are you going to choose to walk through the wilderness alone? Or are you going to panic? Are you going to panic and you're going to need someone there with you? Are you not going to allow yourself to go through that place of isolation? And I promise you, going through a place of isolation, can be a really good thing for yourself. I mean, when I went through it, the first stage of my life, I think in my early 20s, I think that was a really great journey for me. I learned some things about myself. I learned how to grow within God. I mean, it built me spiritually, mentally. It built my confidence. And the thing about this, the journey just don't stop. You don't just like, okay, I go through this journey, I'm good now, God. No, when you go through this journey, you're gonna go through it again. You know, you may go through it from maybe from 25 to 35, and then maybe from 35 to 45, you're gonna take another journey. That's one thing about life. Your journey and your path, it never stops. Okay, so allow yourself, get to a place, and it's not easy because with the social media and the internet and the convenience that America give us, it's kind of hard sometimes because we have so much access to so many things in life. And it's like, even though we have the access, what are you willing to sacrifice to get the bigger things you want? You know, and so that's up to you. It's up to you to figure out what are you willing to sacrifice to get the things that you want in life. You know, you can't be mad about the next person's accomplishment or achievements when you're not willing to make the sacrifices that they made. You may have a friend that's making $80,000 to $100,000 or maybe $500,000, and you feel some way towards her because she's making this money, but you have the same opportunity. You have the same 24 hours to make those same decisions that she makes. It's up to you to determine what you want to do with your time and your attention. And everybody is not deserving of your time and attention. You got to get to a place and be like, hey, no shade, but I think I want to spend me some God time this weekend. I think I want to spend maybe the weekend just relaxing at home and maybe just listen to my gospel music and read my Bible or just read a spiritual book. You know, what are you willing to invest into? What are you willing to invest into yourself so that you can have growth within your life? So walking through the wilderness, like I said, it can be a good journey and it can be a bad journey. It's all about what you make of it. Are you willing to walk through it and gain and grow? Or are you willing to go through it and be lost? Because when you allow yourself, when you're in a place and you're lost, and if you don't come to God and allow God to come in, you'll stay lost. But you can be in a place of being lost and say, hey, God, I'm in the wilderness. I don't have no idea what I'm doing out here. I don't know how to get from out of this journey, God. Show me, give me the roadmap, give me direction. Because remember, you don't have a cell phone. You don't have Google Maps or MapQuest to get you out. You have to completely depend on God. Okay, ladies? So just take some time out and really just think about, are you willing to allow yourself to walk in a place of isolations? Are you willing to walk through the wilderness? It can be scary. It can be different, because when things are different from us, we panic because we are so comfortable with the familiar things of life. If it's familiar, if it's easy, hey, no problem. We don't stress about it. But are you willing to go to a place and be lost and allow God to just lead you into the path which He has for you? Okay? So you guys, I love you guys. Really take some time out and just think about, are you willing to walk in the wilderness? I mean, time is really, the days are really coming around where God is coming sooner than later. And we really have to think about, okay, are we really living or are we existing? And when I say living, I don't mean, hey, we traveling, we living a life. I mean, are we living for the things that God have for us to have for us right now at this moment? It's not about self, but it's about being able to be a blessing to another person. Because if you can bless another person, then another person can be a blessing to another person, So really take out the time out. Invest into yourself. What are the things in your life that you're willing to let go? And like I said, it's not something that's going to happen in a day or 2 days. And it may take a little bit of time. That's okay. Okay. And even if it takes some time, she may say, well, okay, maybe this week I won't get on social media for 12 hours this week. Maybe I'll just do only 8 hours, because we got to start from somewhere. Okay. And maybe you may say, well, okay, when I get up this morning, maybe I may do a minute of prayer. or maybe on my lunch break, rather than calling and talking on the phone, maybe I may open up my daily devotion and read my daily devotion. And if you don't have any type of book that's a daily devotion, hey, you got the internet, you can Google one, and something that's going to feed your spirit. Okay, because like I said once before, what you do with your time is a self reflection of your life. Okay, so you ladies have a blessed week next week. Also, make sure that you share my videos and subscribe. Okay, I thank you ladies for taking the time to watch. I love you guys. Have a great day.